investors have been clamoring for anything AI related. We see that in the stock performance of Nvidia, Microsoft, and even Alphabet. What you might not know is those companies have been clamoring for their own AI exposure. Those three alone have made nearly 20 deals since January as they also look to beef up their AI arsenal. We're going to talk about what this could mean for the Canadian M&A landscape. We've got Thomas Smale. He's the CEO of FE International. Thanks so much for joining us, Thomas.
Thanks, Amber.
Well, I guess it makes sense that some of this M&A activity would come to Canada because a lot of the technology originated here in Canada.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I've been doing M&A for 15 years, and I think there's always a disproportionate amount that happens in Canada because there's so much innovation. You've got so many tech companies that are built here, and a very entrepreneurial culture. So
what has been happening with respect to this AI hunt? Has it gotten even more voracious than over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were maybe expecting that the AI trend was going to die down. Maybe it was just hype. There's a lot of industries where that has been true. I think with AI, that's really not been the case. And I think the main reason for that is companies of all sizes can roll out AI. So for example, I'm speaking at an event tonight called Creator Connect, hosted by a company called Thrivecart. They have hundreds of people arriving who are traditionally creators, really small businesses, but they're all talking about AI. It's the hot topic for them. And then if you speak to any founder, any dinner, any CEOs I speak to, they're all talking about AI as well.
Well, because you've been doing this for so long, you've seen a lot of hype cycles. What's different about this one? And are we still seeing that discipline that came through around 2022 when all of a sudden being a profitless tech company wasn't cool anymore? Is that discipline still there? Or if it's an AI company, do they kind of toss that aside?
So I think one thing that changed is that discipline is still there. Investors are not just going crazy because it has AI in the title or on the website homepage. I think really the key with AI is it's adoptable by every business. So every company now has an AI element. So almost every deal has some AI part to it, which I think makes it so interesting. So many other different business models that might have trended and then gone away have not necessarily had that kind of longevity that AI has.
At the same time, are there willing sellers? Because it is a hot market. They know that they could just potentially grow the business versus sell, and there's plenty of capital to go around.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a decision for people who own a business and a founder. There's often lots of things that go into that decision. It's not just how well is the business doing, does it make sense for my family? Am I going to create generational wealth? Do I have another idea I want to work on instead? How strongly do I feel about the economy over the next couple of years? There's so many questions that come into it rather than just...
Well, there's also the tax treatment. And I know you're based in New York, but one of the things that came out of our last federal budget was that the taxes on capital gains are going to be going up. And many people, particularly in the tech sector, have been up in arms about this, that this penalizes entrepreneurs. Or worse, it means that entrepreneurs are more likely to sell their businesses in the U.S. Have you been having those conversations recently?
It's definitely true. Like particularly, for example, in the US, capital gains is significantly lower than income. So often it makes sense to sell your business because taxes are so much lower rather than continuing to run it and paying income tax. Because of what Canada's talking about at the moment and the increase there, definitely seeing an increase of inquiries recently of people thinking, let's get out now. See, there's an election next year as well. Who knows what's going to happen there? So I agree it penalizes successful entrepreneurs. So getting out now could be a good idea.
So you're seeing inquiries to that extent,
we deal with thousands of inquiries a month, and we've seen, if we look at our data, a spike in inquiries from Canadian companies because of the changes. It's such a drastic change, and one of the only countries where capital gains and income taxes are going to be very, very similar rate.
Wow, that's fascinating. And I wonder, one thing that you might think could work in the favor of those buyers as well is the interest rate picture could be different in Canada versus U.S. Canada looks more likely to cut interest rates versus U.S. Does that become a factor?
It does to an extent. Obviously, Canadian rates over 7% at the moment. US, they're slightly lower. I think the consideration, we've closed 1,500 transactions over the years. The vast majority of deals, there's $4 trillion of dry powder in the US alone. There's a huge amount of equity sat there, cash that can be deployed. So interest rates are definitely a factor, but Canadian rates specifically do not necessarily affect international M&A, particularly with tech and AI, where it's very much an international market.
Well, and so many of these businesses, when we're talking about Google, Nvidia, Microsoft, they just cashed up, right? I imagine a lot of these are just cash deals and rounding errors for them, at least right now. Or are multiples starting to increase?
It's a little bit of both. So, I mean, lots of deals are just cash, particularly with the larger companies or even the private equity firms who are also doing a lot of deals. They move quickly. So that is definitely a factor and definitely something we're seeing.